Alright guys, so Season 2 is live, and a few of us have really started working on a lot of our descendants to try to bring them up in level. One of the first descendants that I wanted to work on is actually Ines. We do know that she has an upcoming nerf, but I'm really not too worried about it, and I think she's still going to be really oppressive in the sandbox, so I wanted to show you guys her new updated build in case you've been waiting to build her yourself. So having said that, let's hop into the video. So Ines is actually in a pretty good spot right now. We do know that there is going to be a balance patch that comes through that hits her, but it's also going to hit some of the harder content we have in the game, and it should really kind of make her a little bit more viable in that content. So let's go ahead and look at her setup. We'll talk about her build, we'll go through her kit, and then we'll show you how to use her. First thing we're going to look at is her weapon. We do run Secret Garden on her, and that's because this does give her a really good boost to her damage when she uses her skills. The gun is more secondary, but you will use it to do some damage here and there. So because of that, we did put some cores on it. Now I did decide that I wanted to keep this somewhat non-elemental, but you can change it up a little bit. We did run 2 crit rate damage cores on here, 2 sprint speed, and then a bonus attack versus truth. This gun really isn't a big damage gun that you're going to be using to put out damage, especially when you use it on Ines. For the rolls on the gun, we're really looking at firearm attack, crit rate, crit damage, and we're just going to go ahead and slap on an order of truth damage here. There's not really a good thing to put here, so this will get us a little bit of extra damage when we are actually shooting it at the enemies that do have a weakness to Ines's type. I always recommend trying to slot on a Voltia, especially if you're by yourself and you're doing high level purge, and that's because Voltia peels shields off faster than anything else. As you can see here, this Voltia isn't even the right element type, but it still will shred almost any shield you see when you're doing high level purge. So because of that, definitely make sure you have this on if you're playing by yourself. So Ines is a skill descendant, and in 99.9% of the content you're playing, you're only going to use her skills. But if you do take her in Void Erosion Purge, which again, I don't really recommend past 27, you will want to bring a hard-hitting weapon because skills do take a really hard nerf. If you decide to take her into high level purge, again, I really recommend against it. Even with her buffs, she still struggles in 28, 29, and 30. So when it comes to her reactor, you are going to want it to be a matching type, and you are going to want it to have a tac rifle on it, and you are going to want it to be a tech boost. So my roll on this is actually from last season, and it's not the best, and I haven't had a chance to get a new roll. I would suggest knocking off that Colossus damage and either putting cooldown here or doing something with electric damage just to boost your damage more. With everything we get in the current season, you can realistically completely ignore putting the cooldown on here because you will have a really solid uptime on your one, and if that's the case, putting extra damage here will only help you out. So I'm not going to go through each one of the components, but what I will tell you is we are going to run the Slayer set. I would try for MP recovery or max MP on almost all of the substats on these that you can get that with. Unfortunately, I don't personally have that on a couple of these pieces, but it will help with any MP issues you have because this is a very MP intense build. So if you are unsure of what these rolls are, for the Ox Power, you're going to want MP recovery out of combat. For the sensor, you're going to want max MP and MP recovery out of combat. And for the memory, you are going to want a MP recovery modifier. This is the inversion reinforcement that we're going to go with. We are going to use Adrenaline Rush, Selective Neurostimulation, and Arche Circulation Tactic. Arche Circulation Tactic is just going to give you more cooldown when you hit with skills, which you're going to be doing all the time, but it does have a little bit of a long cooldown. We're still going to take this because it fits in well with our kit. For Selective Neurostimulation, we're mainly using this just to help with any MP issues we have. Again, this is another one that isn't really doing much for us, but there's not a lot of better options on the board. And Adrenaline Rush is just a quality of life thing. As we're defeating enemies, we're just going to move around the map faster, and who doesn't like that? So when it comes to the Arche Tuning board, we're really going to go for a couple main nodes here. In the beginning, we are going to go ahead and hit the quick HP bonus and the MP leech. After that, we're going to pump as much skill damage into this tree as we can. Once we get all the skill damage in it, we are going to go ahead and grab a couple additional nodes. The big ones there are skill duration, skill crit hit damage, and skill crit hit rate. While Ines already has a very high skill crit hit rate, picking these nodes up here actually allows us to make a couple tweaks to her skills that really let us ratchet the damage up this season compared to last season. Alright guys, so when it comes to Ines, we're looking at Time of the Hunting Hounds for her red mod. This mod does a lot of really nice things, and we like most of them. 1, it gives us a lot of stacks on her 1, and 2, it turns everything into a tech skill. Outside of that, we're going to crank our range as much as we can, because the more range we have, the more bounces we get. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to try to get as much crit hit damage and crit hit rate as we can. When you combine all of that, she hits very hard, very frequently, and most things can't survive the damage that she puts out. So her normal gameplay loop is going to look a lot like this. You're going to start out with a 1, you're going to use your 2, and then you're going to continue to follow up with your 1. Once your special resource is full, you're going to go ahead and put a 4 down on the battlefield. After that, you're just going to go ahead and spam your 1 as long as you can, and reapply your 2 when you notice that the Dark Conductor has ran out on the enemies. And as you can see, you can stack up a lot of damage really quick with Ines with this build. At the end of the day, Ines is still in a really great spot, and she trivializes most content she runs into. Even though we know she's going to get a balancing patch here in the future, I still think she's worth building and worth investing into, because I don't think they're going to change her too much, and you are still going to be able to use her on a lot of content. But let me know what you guys think of the build. If you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed content like this, consider subscribing and liking the video. If you want to see more of us, come over to the live channel. We're live 5 days a week, and I'd love to have you and love to get to know you guys just a little bit better. But as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day.